Good evening, everyone. I hope you've had a fantastic Monday and had a great weekend gone. Jack here, back to just flag one way that you can elevate your mood using 2 minutes of your day. So what I'm going to go over in this live video is not so much telling you how to elevate your mood, but basically breaking down some common barriers for you, and hopefully taking you through a step-by-step, nice, easy way, so that you've got a little routine incorporated into your day-to-day routine, so that you can put your own mental health first and apply some self-care, which we certainly all need. So a common thing we hear when it comes to not just mindful-based activities, but exercise as well, is the concept of time. And so time is obviously something that is valuable to all of us, but there's so much time in the day when we actually use it properly. So in a day, there is 1,440 minutes. So what I've done is I've done a little breakdown here for someone who lives arguably a really busy lifestyle. So let's say that you sleep for 8 hours, so that's 480 minutes. Probably, to be honest, there's not many of us that can really stick our head down and say we get 8 hours of sleep every single night. But for the hypothetical here, let's say 8 hours of sleep. Let's say that you work an 8-hour day, so a 9 to 5 kind of job, and let's throw in an hour each way of commuting. So that's 600 minutes. So that's 10 hours out of your day. I've then popped in 4 hours of life admin. So shopping, cooking, cleaning, watching the news, whatever else pops in there, for 4 hours worth. So quite a lot. So 240 minutes. If we add all of that together, it still leaves us with 2 hours in our day. All right. So when we break it down, there's so much time in our day if we actually use it the right way. Where a lot of us fall down is that this extra 2 hours that's not accounted for here is often spent on devices, being sedentary, not being active, making poor dietary decisions, and it can be a bit of a vicious cycle once some of these poor lifestyle choices creep into this 1 or 2 hour window that basically there's not much happening in our day. This is the perfect time to exercise, practice some mindfulness, practice some gratitude, empathy, A game, B game, the RAIN acronym. We've been over a number of self-care practices now, and like I said, all you need is 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes to quickly, reflect, get in the present moment and put yourself first. So I would like to think that amongst your days, we can all spare 2 minutes to, like I said, put our own mental health and well-being first. Unfortunately, a lot of those things that I mentioned that we often spend that time doing, so whether it's time on our phones or screens, making poor dietary choices when we get home from work or home from, out doing the shopping, whatever the case is, this can be actually detrimental to our mental health. So what I'm trying to get at here is to establish a routine using this breakdown of time, that let's call it grey time during our day, so that we're building up our mental health and well-being in this time, as opposed to making poor lifestyle choices that are going to be detrimental to our mental health and obviously our physical health too. So this 2 hour window, so let's remember 8 hours of sleep, 10 hours to work-based practices by the time we work and travel and all of that kind of thing, 4 to 5 hours of life admin, and then there's that hour left over. So the research on what we often spend this time doing in mental health is quite significant. So there's a really high association between screen time and mental health. So if you spend more than 6 hours a day on a screen, the likelihood of you developing moderate to severe impression increases significantly. Now, you might think 6 hours on a screen is not what you do. That includes work. So for a lot of us, 6 hours on a computer would add up pretty quickly. We're quite fortunate here because obviously a lot of what we do is with people. We're out in the gym space, away from screens, but I can guarantee that even our screen time would add up pretty quickly, which is why we, try, and when we get home from work, we go to the gym or go for a swim or do something quite active as opposed to sit on our phones. There's a big link and association between poor dietary choices and anxiety and depression. And the reason for this is that we can often, start participating in externalizing kind of behavior. So really venting or ranting or acting out aggressively. Probably that classic hangry kind of term is what can happen when we make poor dietary choices and don't get the nutritional input that we need. Our concentration and fatigue can obviously impacted. The brain development in children is significantly impacted. We can become deficient in iron, which influences our cognitive function. So there's big things there that are happening at a neural level off the back of our diet, which then falls back to increase our mental health. Same goes for sedentary behavior. Very, very strong relationship between sedentary behavior, lack of physical activity, and adverse mental health. And this is quite obvious because obviously we know the benefits of physical activity on mental health, so naturally not being as active is going to be detrimental in this regard. So a few little tips and tricks to try and minimize this time, on screens, eating poorly, all of that kind of thing. One is to delete some apps off your iPad and off your phone. Whether it's social media based apps, games, news based ones that you don't need to read, get them off your phone. It's the same concept as when we talk to someone regarding their diet. If you don't have all those cookies and cakes in the house, you're not going to have them. Same concept applies for our phones. Another trick, and this is one that I try and do as much as I can, I always have my phone on Do Not Disturb, so it's never just flashing at me constantly. The other way is to turn your phone off, or if you're going out, leave your phone at home, is a really mindful way to use your screen as well. Schedule some physical activity into your day and take into consideration your energy levels. Planning to go for your walk or go to the gym as soon as you get home from work is potentially not the greatest time to do it. And that's when obviously we can sit down. From a nervous system point of view at this point, it's very difficult to find the energy to want to go and exercise. So take that into consideration. Exercise at the right time of the day. For me, that was going for a swim this morning before work. I'm probably not going to get home until 7:30 or so tonight. I know for a fact I'm not going to feel like going for a run or a bike ride or something then, but I've ticked off my swimming before work this morning when I had the energy to do so. Getting some time in to make sure your cooking and meal preparation is done. That way you're going to minimize some poor dietary choices around sugar and carbohydrates, which Tom's spoken about previously. So you can find those videos on our YouTube channel or scrolling through to previous months. And just minimizing those high carbohydrate or high sugar based foods in the home. So that little trick of not walking through the middle of the supermarket, but just doing a lap of the outside where those higher nutritional content foods tend to be is the way to go there. These things often fall into a vicious cycle. If we're on our screen, we're often sedentary. If we're sedentary, we're often snacking. And it's, like I said, a really vicious cycle, which can be really detrimental for our physical health and our mental health as well. So starting this is the hardest bit. Getting into a routine around your exercise is the hardest bit. The hardest step is that one out the door. So hopefully this is just a little strategy to just get you going with a 2-minute routine to help break these habits. The concept of health imbalance and exercise physiology as a whole is that these concepts need to be tailored to an individual. So by no means take that this is gospel, what I'm about to say. If you do want a more, individualized or tailored, mindfulness routine, then certainly consulting in the Minds in Balance program is where we'll be able to go into that in an incredible amount of depth. So in previous lives this month, we've gone over the GEM acronym, so gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. the RAIN acronym, so recognizing, acceptance, being inquisitive and nurturing, our A game, B game concept, so what can we control versus what can't we control. Other mindful activities include breathing, listening to some music, obviously exercise. There's so many options, and what's going to work for you is purely based on you, and no one can sit down and categorically tell you what works best. You can certainly liaise with either an exercise physiologist or certainly other health professionals to what will be the best fit. But certainly some form of mindful routine can really enhance your mental health, and the influence that can then have on your physical health is massive. Like I said, the most tricky thing is to get started. So what I would suggest is a way to get this started is to firstly pick out something that you do every single day. Might be having a shower, brushing your teeth, having brekkie or lunch or dinner, doing the crossword, walking the dog, whatever it is, but something that you do every single day. A really nice way to become nice and present in this time is to right before you do this exercise, so not afterwards, before you do this, is to separate yourself from all technology, so TV off, phone off or in a different room. Take 2 really deep breaths, so the belly rising breath, so where you're feeling your diaphragm do all the work and your belly's expanding. And then write something down that is based on your senses at the time. Might be something you can see, something you can hear, smell, taste, touch, whatever the case is. Just jot that down quickly and then take 2 deep breaths again. That probably won't even take 2 minutes, but I can guarantee that in that moment you will have been very present because you're going to have concentrated on 2 breaths, which I'm confident everyone can do, written down something you could see in that time. So if you did it right before the shower, it might be the mirror in the bathroom, might be something that you saw. And as you're writing down the mirror in the bathroom, you're not thinking about something that's happening later in the day. You're thinking about the mirror in the bathroom. So we're nice and mindful. We're present in that moment. 2 big breaths again to finish off. Then we're activating our vagal nerve, increasing our vagal tone, activating our parasympathetic nervous system to bring us into that nice, calm state of mind. All right, so that's just an easy way to get going, and it's something that I think it's really important that we all incorporate into our daily routines. We harp on about the importance of exercise, but really this is just as important as your exercise, because mental health to all of us is so important. So if you do want something that's more specific to you, then the Minds in Balance program is where that will go over that in a lot of detail, okay? Instead of it being over a live video that goes for 13 minutes or so, it's going to be over appointments to get this routine down pat to give you the best outcomes regarding your mental health that you need. Alrighty, so still a little bit more information to come out this week around mental health and the benefits that these can have. So stay tuned for that on the Glenara Health Hub. Otherwise, comment below with any questions or how you've gone incorporating this into your daily routine. I can't wait to hear them all. Have a great night, and I'll speak to you later in the week. Thanks, guys.